Hello S4, welcome back to your January term. It's a shame that we're having to do this all online instead of in school at Christon High School, where I would much prefer to be seeing you all in person. But never mind. I hope you had a really nice Christmas and New Year. I hope you and all your families are well. As I said before, it's not ideal that we're having to shift to online learning, but we're going to make the best of things. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that the quality of your learning is just as good as it would be if you were in class. So I've made this little video just to talk to you a little bit about how things are going to work and to explain a little bit about the new unit of work that we're going on to in the same way that I would if I was in class and we were moving on to a new unit of work. Now, what we've decided to do, because we're shifting to online learning, is to change the order of some of the things that we were going to do. So we're going to start off with a unit on a play, and really a film of a play, and the play and the film are called An Inspector Calls. Now this is something that you would have been doing this year as part of the National 4 course anyway, but we would have done it a little bit later in the year. We would have probably started at about March. We're just changing the order of a few things to make it a little bit easier, and this is something you should be able to hopefully access easily online. An Inspector Calls was originally a play written by a man called J.B. Priestley. It is one of my favourite plays to teach, and we're going to be looking at the play, but we're also going to be looking at a film adaptation. In fact, we're going to be mainly looking at the film adaptation, and we're going to be using some of the skills that we learned when we studied media techniques back in S3. If you can remember back, we looked at a bunch of different films and we did some assessments and we learned an awful lot about different techniques. We learned about lighting and mise-en-scene and the difference between diegetic and non-diegetic sound. Don't worry if you can't remember all that just now. We will get to it, we'll go back over it. As we move through this unit, we're going to compare parts of the film to parts of the play written down. And as we get further on, when we get a chance to do some assessments, we're going to get you to do some critical reading questions. A little bit like the critical reading questions we've already done this year on the letterbox. And then also when we did our war poetry unit, you did some critical reading questions on Dulce et Decorum Est. That's going to help you because next year, if you stay with English and you move into a National 5 class, then critical reading questions are a really key part of the course. So it's going to help you when you do National 4 assessments, but it's also preparing you for National 5 English. An Inspector Calls is also a great text to do because it's full of suspense. It's a really exciting, interesting story. Whenever I've done this play with a class before, people have always been really intrigued and excited to find out what's going to happen. So it's good from that point of view, but it's also a more complex text. So as you're getting a bit older now, we're looking at texts that are a bit more complex. There are some really deep themes in An Inspector Calls. Now, one of the things you're going to find out at the beginning is that it's set in the past. But even though it's set in the past, an awful lot about what goes on is very relevant to today and life today. I won't tell you exactly how at the moment that it's relevant to life today, but you are going to see that as we go on. So, how are you going to approach your work? You should see that we've given you 2 assignments for this week. You don't need to do them all today. You can decide over the course of the week how you're going to get them done, but we would like them done by Friday. Your first assignment is to watch a couple of clips about the background and historical context of the play. That's going to tell you a little bit about when the play was written, the time in which it was set as well, and what was sort of going on at that time. So you'll sort of get a feel and an understanding of what it might have been like to have been in the audience at the time the play was originally first put on. After you've watched the clips, there's going to be a little link to a Microsoft form and there are some questions for you to answer in the form of a quiz, and that should be marked automatically. We're still getting used to these things. But that should be marked automatically so we can see if you've been paying attention. You might want to be taking notes whilst you're watching the clip. When you've done that, there's another assignment. We've put a link and a file to the first part of the film of the play. It's about 10 minutes long, so you're going to want to watch that. You might want to watch it more than once. In this part of the play, you're really getting just introduced to the main characters. Now, this is a suspenseful play. So without wanting to give too much away, the start of the play is about a family, the Burling family. And they've all gathered together to celebrate something. We have the mother and the father, Mr. and Mrs. Burling. We have their son, Eric, and their daughter, Sheila. And she's just gotten engaged to this young man, Gerald. And the family are gathered together to celebrate that engagement. and they're all feeling quite pleased and happy with themselves. This is quite a wealthy family, as you'll see, and they're feeling very pleased with their situation. And then when the clip ends, an inspector has just arrived to investigate something. Now, I'm not going to tell you any more about what that is just now. You'll see, but the beginning part of the clip is mainly setting up these characters. As we go on, there's going to be a little bit of a mystery about something that they're all involved in. So hopefully you enjoy it. When you've watched that clip, you should find a PowerPoint in the class files and in the assignment, and that has got some activities for you to complete based on that clip. Now, you should be able to complete those in your class notebook. If you're having trouble with your class notebook, then you can always do it on paper, and you can upload a picture, or you can let me know. It's quite good if you can complete it in your notebook, because it makes it a lot easier for me to give you feedback on your work. And it's really important, if we're going to be doing online learning for a little while, that I'm able to give you good feedback. But it's the first week. I know there will probably be little glitches and problems and things like that. So if you get it done another way, then send me a message or something like that. We'll figure out a way. We'll figure out a way for me to give you feedback. Okay? So hopefully you're excited about these tasks. If there's anything from earlier in the year that you haven't completed, just don't worry about that just now. We're going to come back to that later or just a little further into lockdown. So don't worry about that at the moment. We've got it all planned out. You don't need to be concerned, and we'll give you any more information as we go along if you need it. If you have any difficulties, send me a message. I think you're hopefully going to really enjoy this playing this film, and hopefully you're going to really enjoy this unit of work, and we're going to learn a lot even if we're having to do it at home and in a different way than we normally would. Okay, take care, and I'll see you next week.